Today I want to tell you about our personal residency journey from Mexico, and we got it. There's a lot to it, and so I want to share with you today what we did and what we learned. First thing you got to do is do your research. Make sure that you fit the requirements for Mexican residency. There is temporary residency as well as permanent residency. We were fortunate enough to get our permanent residency, which means we only go through it once. If you get temporary residency, you've still got a path to permanent residency, but you have to do this process more than once and renew it. So do your research. Do you meet the criteria? There are different ways to get permanent residency. We did it as retirees, which means we had to prove either income or savings based on their criteria to get the approval. And we figured out that we did. So step one is, do you qualify? And when you do, you can then proceed to step two, which is get an appointment with your local Mexican consulate or whichever one's closest to you. All of them operate a little bit differently, so you got to be careful and understand their particular requirements. We're going to talk to you today about what we did in Washington, D.C., which was great for us, but there are nuances to the process. So the first thing you'll do is you'll go on their website and you'll see the requirements, and they'll also have them in English if that helps you, which it did us. Along with an electronic calendar. They open up and go quickly. So we spent a couple of months trying to get an appointment before we actually secured one. In fact, how we finally got ours was that we went we actually emailed the consulate in DC and said, when do these open up? They told us, and then we were waiting right before they opened up and secured our 2 appointments. We did 2 appointments because that was what was recommended to us. We secured our appointments about a month before we actually had them, which allowed us to go to the next step, which is get your paperwork together. The next thing you need to do is have your paperwork fully assembled. This appointment that you've secured is gold, so you want to make sure that you understand and you pull together all the requirements. So get them together. There are things like financial statements, passport photos, passport copies. Everything needs to be in duplicate. But anyway, pull all that together and then have a friend check it out for you. You don't want to get to your appointment and then figure out that you've missed something. So they will turn you around and you'll have to go get another appointment. It's relatively straightforward, but it's something that you ought to be able to really make sure that you do and do well. We're excited because we've got all our stuff together. It's the night before our big appointment with the Mexican embassy where we're going for our permanent residency. And this is it. We've got everything together. We got our pictures taken. We've filled out the application, got our passports, and we're ready to roll. So tomorrow's the big day and we're hoping to get our permanent residency. Okay, it's time. You've secured your appointment. You've gotten all your paperwork together. Now you go to your appointment. And we had a great experience in Washington. We took all our paperwork and our separate meetings, and we met at our appointed time with the senior people there. They ask you to sit in a room and they review all your paperwork. They did that for about 15 minutes, and then they come back and they interview you. It wasn't really a structured interview. It was more something where they're asking you different questions about why you want to come to Mexico, why you retired, what you intend to do when you get there, and that kind of thing. It was very comfortable, but they're clearly checking your credibility. So in that appointment, essentially after that's finished and you get approved, which hopefully you will, they'll then ask you to pay a fee of it was $50 or something like that for us. They'll go back and process your paperwork, and then when you're completed there, you'll actually have on your passport a visa that's good for 6 months that allows you to continue the process. That's a win, and you exit that meeting knowing that you're well on your way.
I just left the Mexican embassy. I got approved for permanent residency in Mexico. So excited! Time to celebrate.
Okay, I'll tell you what we did. Once we got through all that, we were feeling really good. And we knew that there was a lot of other things to do to finalize our permanent residency in Mexico. So what we did, and frankly I recommend you do, we both do, is we secured a third party to help us on the ground in Mexico. So we went and researched and found a great firm. In Puerto Vallarta, we used Gringo for Gringo. They're a third party that specializes in this, and they were outstanding. So we essentially worked with them once we had our visa And they instructed us on next steps, knowing that ultimately we would be going back to Mexico and taking their lead to complete the process down in Mexico. Okay, now you've got your third party engaged and you're ready to book your trip. So you book your trip and you go to Mexico. Very important. The folks that we worked with say, hey, when you get to Mexico, with that new visa that you got at the consulate, it has to be stamped and approved with the Canje process, which is essentially part of the permanent residency process. It's very important. They instruct you on how to do that. But we did that. We went through the Mexican residence line. We told them that we were here for permanent residency, and the immigration officer stamped the visa that we got in DC on our passport, as well as our FMM, the paperwork that you get when you get here with Canje. Canje means that you have to exchange that visa within 30 days for your permanent residency. So that's a really important step.
We did it! It's done! We're stamped!
We did it. We just went through immigration here in Puerto Vallarta, and we presented our Mexican visas, and we put our paperwork together. We came through the Mexican citizens line. They stamped it for us exactly how we're supposed to. Now we've got an appointment in a few days, and pretty soon we'll be
Official residents of Mexico.
Permanent residents of Mexico. See ya.
See ya.
Okay, congratulations. You made it through the Canje process, and that's one of the things they tell you needs to go well. Now what you do is you work with your third party and you let them lead. That's why you're paying them, and they're the experts. So there's actually 3 things that you do once you get here. You have a first meeting where you work with your third party to pay them the fees, sign paperwork, and then let them go forth and run all the details for you. And that was great because they're in Spanish and there's a lot of processes, and I actually think having relationships on the ground pays a lot of dividends there. So we were glad to have them do that. We're up early this morning. We took an Uber from our condo down into central Puerto Vallarta, and this morning we're meeting with the folks that are helping us with our immigration process to get our permanent residency. It's not a difficult process, but it's got a lot of steps and it's all in Spanish, and we wanted to make sure that we got it done properly. So this morning we're actually coming in here to sign paperwork and pay fees today. And then over the next couple of days, this company is going to go run around for us and get our stamps and pay our fees and that kind of stuff. And then day after tomorrow, we're meeting them at the immigration office to get our permanent residency cards. So we're super excited about this, and really are seeing a culmination to a lot of hopes and dreams and hard work, and can't wait to share the good news. There's a second meeting, which is most important, where you actually go to the INM with the third party. You take your visa, all your paperwork, and of course your third party partner, and they walk you through the whole process. They'll also do biometrics on you there. They'll fingerprint you. They will take pictures, and they will let you sign paperwork. We did not have an interview or anything there. It was pretty straightforward, but you have to make sure that you do everything the way that your third party tells you to. We did, and it worked great for us. And then the third meeting is you actually meet the INM person as well as, your third party person as well as the INM back a couple of weeks later with your passport to get your permanent residency green card. It took us 2 weeks. We got there. It took 15 minutes. We had to sign for it, and now we are permanent residents. It went great.
It's done. We're official. We just got our cards. We are now official permanent residents of Mexico.
We are permanent residents of Mexico. This has been an 8-month process that we'll talk more about later, but we are happy to report that it's official. We have these green cards. That means that we've been fully approved all the way from Washington down here in Mexico, and we never have to go through this process again. No, we are officially permanent residents of Mexico with all the privileges therein, and we couldn't be happier.
Yeah, let's go celebrate.
Congratulations. Bye. So that's our experience. Frankly, it was really great. Now, it took about 8 months from when we really began our research and thinking about it to get through all the processes that we just talked about. But all along the way, we found it to be relatively simple and straightforward, especially with the help of our friends down here in Puerto Vallarta. It really feels great to us to have this kind of opportunity. We're permanent residents in Mexico. We didn't have to give up anything at home. We just now have the ability to come into Mexico as often and for as long as we want. We also have access to health care and other things. We can do basically everything that a citizen can do except vote and except own property in the restricted zones, which you have to do through a third party as well. But that allows us so many opportunities. And as much as we love Mexico and with all the things that are going on in the world, it's a wonderful feeling to know that we have this. And as we spend more and more time in Mexico discovering all parts of it, it's a real gift and one that we're really thankful that we got through. So if you're interested in this, we highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't too hard to do. And once you got it, you got it. So that was our journey. Hopefully this helps you a little bit and inspires you. We're inspired to go explore Mexico and live life and think about all the things that this opens up for us. So thanks, and see you out there.
Watch this video to see what's next on our adventures and check out our customizable merchandise store. See you soon.